Have you ever made a character that's louder, stranger, freer, or simply the complete opposite of who you're supposed to be? I think we all have, where chaos somehow feels safe, almost like a confession, a small rebellion. Maybe we don't play to escape ourselves. Maybe we play to find out what parts of us won't let go. Not to hide behind them, but to see what stays the same when nothing around you is real. That's not running from yourself. It's a performance with the safety on, even exploring who you could survive being. Every time we pick up a controller or set our hands on a keyboard and mouse, we test the edges of our identity, acting out the versions of ourselves we've never met. And I'm not saying that every session is enlightenment time, but there is something freeing about not caring about the rules. Sometimes that's just the break we need. Escapism gets a bad rap. In the ignorance of the concept, it may sound like it's weakness, as I've heard multiple times, or like you're hiding. But in games, escapism is the opposite. It's about running past the edges of what you're allowed to be. A performance that might speak to the rawest version of us, or the most obnoxious. If someone acts like an idiot in a game, we call it trolling. But what if it's just emotional parkour? Testing how far the walls can stretch before reality pulls you back. Escapism isn't a flaw. It's a space to rehearse freedom. In games, we are granted a temporary amnesty from consequence. It's a small bubble where chaos is the norm. You can act without restraint, and I think there's something interesting to be found there when you realize that freedom can give you insight into what you normally repress. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's not rebellion, it's rehearsal. Every reckless choice, every impulsive laugh, it's still a kind of acting. And maybe that's the point. We're always rehearsing for something. For a few hours, you're trying on possibilities, maybe reckless, but free. Players who act obnoxious or cruel or ridiculous aren't always toxic, you know. Sometimes they're testing boundaries. And sure, maybe I'm coping to not say immature, but I'm not here to judge right and wrong. I'm here to exercise the freedom to explore how games have helped me make thought processes work in real life. Positive deviance. Games are sandboxes for moral rehearsal. We perform losing control so we can feel safe watching ourselves do it. Sometimes, the most obnoxious character isn't an accident, it's a science project. What happens if I make the worst choices possible? How do people react when I break the game's morality? Where does the world bend? And where does it break? We call it role-playing, but really, it's systems testing. Games let us test morality without the scars. A bad run in real life costs too much. The chaos character isn't evil. They're QA for the human condition. Bringing this up makes me think about the biggest stage we have as gamers. A platform I know a lot about. The one that isn't made out of code at all. It's made out of people. And that's the multiplayer stage. It's only fair to say, not everyone queues up planning to scream at strangers, but somehow, almost every match tilts anyway. Someone types GG 5 minutes in, like the next 15 minutes don't exist. Someone else fires back, and suddenly the game isn't about winning, it's about performing frustration. I used to wonder what kind of person gives up that fast. Now I realize It might just be an 11-year-old playing past bedtime, angry because there's school tomorrow. Or a party of 5 friends trying to outdo each other with jokes that would get them expelled anywhere else. It's messy, but it's theater, because that's what a lobby is. A stage. You want to act tough, or calm, or act like you don't care. You perform confidence and sarcasm, or even quote-unquote maturity, just long enough for strangers who will forget you in 10 minutes. I was there for the OG Modern Warfare lobbies, with a bad connection, in another country, watching killcam after killcam, and being called a slur and poor for not paying an internet speed that didn't even exist. But hey, maybe I'm performing too. Pretending I'm not the adult in the room. Pretending I don't care. But underneath all that, there's also a pure sense of being. I'm still there for the same reason. To play. To compete. To escape. Honestly. When you strip away the avatars and the noise, what's left is still a performance. Just smaller, subtler, closer to home, where it gets honest, when the act stops feeling like an act at all. The role you play on screen might be fake, but the laughter, the impulse, the curiosity, those are real. Every performance exaggerates truth. When you act unrestrained, that laugh that escapes you, that's not fake. That's the part of you that forgot how to ask for permission. And we connect with that, so it's easier to recognize the face underneath. Pretending isn't lying, it's stretching. It's reminding yourself that you contain more than one person. This concept might be familiar to a lot of people, especially in psychology, in comedians, writers, actors, everybody that studies performances in humanity. But do any of these existing studies or people have taken a Discord server and tried to analyze how children have evolved to contain personas completely made out of internet slop, without calling it indoctrination or marketing or TikTok? And how these people become adults with their brains split? Or how my own generation that understood the world without internet and have now become one with it? That is fascinating to me. Maybe I should start the anthropology work through video games. Maybe it exists already. If you're seeing this, let me know, or let's do it together. Everyone has their own idea of what good character means, but the truth is, we're all just improvising within the version of morality we were handed. There is something to be said about nature versus nurture when unmasking our performances. What can be defined as culture, and what can be defined as respect. Even chaos is curated, much like control, but not as a restriction, but as choreography. You pick how well to be, you edit your impulses. It's still performance, but now the audience is you. We say we want freedom, but we still build walls around where we'll go. I don't believe that's hypocrisy. Maybe that's what respect really is. A kind of performance we learn early, in other people's homes, at family gatherings, in classrooms where we first practice self-control. We're told to be polite, to act considerate, to speak with care. And if you're raised with moral fiber, you learn that empathy isn't just how you feel, it's how you behave. You learn to self-edit, not out of fear, but out of respect for the stage you're standing on. The other side of that coin is that some people treat life like they're the main character, playing The Sims with everyone else as background. They act out their moral code as if it were universal. But according to who? There's also the performance that plays out on the biggest stage, the one where people call it purpose. You see it in protests, in outrage, in slogans shouted online. Some of it is real conviction, sure, but some of it is just another mask, a way to feel like you're doing something when you're mostly yearning being seen. If you decide to stand for something, that's good, but you should still be able to answer the basic questions. Why are you doing it? Who does it help? Why should anyone listen? Because if you can't, then maybe the performance has swallowed the purpose. I wonder, what's more performative in the end? Turning politics into your personality, or preaching that the answer is to live and let live? I guess, admittedly, we all want to matter. So we perform in one way or another. There is no absolute clean concept of humility in a person. All I can be sure of, however, is that we can always choose to work on what we can actually control. Some do it quietly, some can't help but to step into the light. Either way, intention is what makes it real. Build quietly, meaningfully, or even loudly, if it's honest. Not everything needs to be a statement. Sometimes it's enough to play, to think, to breathe, and just be. I do believe most people don't want to fight. They just want to live their lives without something in the way. Not chasing happiness like a prize, but at least understanding what blocks them from moving forward and building the room to grow. If there's a change you can make without tearing everything down, make it. Vote. Show up. But don't turn every disagreement into theater. Whether they come from chaos or courtesy, they still leave traces of who we really are. Don't mistake noise for meaning. Because whether it happens in a game, a group chat, work, or a crowded street, the stage is always there, and sooner or later, we all step on it. I used to wonder how much of a performance making videos would be. Turns out, there's nowhere to hide when you're speaking from a place of positive deviance. Creative problem solving can only be truthful. Otherwise, it fails. If this kind of thinking connects with you, stick around. That's what this space is for. Escapism isn't a replacement for life. It's a tool that helps us practice being more real within it. Pretending isn't about flamboyance or spectacle. It's about permission, self-testing, and learning. Live honestly. Keep exploring the worlds, real or imagined. They will remind you why you love being human. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next one.